My family has owned our ranch for over a century. My great-great-grandfather homesteaded this patch of scrubland back when the only thing around was cattle, mesquite, and the occasional rattlesnake. Over the years, developers kept trying to buy us out, but my granddad always said, once you give an inch, they'll take a mile. So the land stayed ours, all 200 acres of it. Fast forward to last year. A fancy new development popped up right across the county road. Big houses, cookie-cutter lawns, and a self-important HOA that thought they ruled everything within sight. At first, they were harmless, mostly annoyed about our cows wandering too close to their pristine sidewalks. Then came the big idea, community solar. The HOA partnered with a contractor to install a giant solar grid to power their fancy clubhouse and streetlights. Good for them, except they didn't read their survey lines too well. One morning, I found workers trenching right through the back field, laying conduit and driving posts on my side of the fence line. I asked the foreman if he was lost. He said, "Nope, we have a right-of-way agreement with the HOA." I told him the HOA didn't own this land. He just shrugged and kept digging. Turns out the HOA thought a strip of my ranch was common green space because their old developer had marked it as future community expansion on a decades-old plan, except the plan was never filed and the deed stayed in my family's name. I told them to move it. They refused. They even sent me a cease and desist letter claiming I was interfering with community infrastructure. That was cute. What they didn't know was my family had dealt with land grabbers before. Back in the 1920s, my great-grandfather got so fed up with survey mistakes that he put a clause in the deed. Any encroachment on our land triggers an automatic daily lease fee plus damages, enforceable in county court. Basically a booby trap for paper pushers. When I told the HOA president, a smug guy named Greg, about it, he laughed in my face. "You're bluffing," he said. So I let them finish their $1 million solar grid. Poles, panels, fencing, and all. Then I called my lawyer and buyer at BN. 2 weeks later, Greg got served with a lien for unauthorized use of private land, with penalties stacking up daily. The HOA tried to fight it, but the county records were crystal clear. The land was ours, and so was the clause. It got better. The grid wasn't just barely over the line. About 30% of it sat smack on our pasture. To move it, they'd have to rip up half the system and trench new lines back under the road. The cost to fix it? More than double what they spent to build it. Greg begged me to be reasonable. He offered me a laughable one-time payout. I told him no, we'd stick with the daily lease fee. By the time they dragged it through court, they owed us more than the grid was worth. The HOA held an emergency meeting. All the shiny new homeowners were furious. They tried to sue the developer, but he'd long since skipped town with his big checks. In the end, they had no choice but to negotiate. They paid my family a sweet sum up front and signed a 30-year lease at triple the normal rate for rural land use. I let them keep the panels. They're basically paying my kids' college tuition now. Greg quit the HOA board not long after. I still wave when I see him mowing his perfect lawn. On sunny days, I smile extra wide. That solar grid turned my back pasture into the best investment we've ever made. Moral of the story: always read the deed, especially when my granddad wrote it.